Broadcasting from Ireland, featuring interviews with some of the biggest names in magic. Welcome to the Deceive Reality Podcast with your hosts, David Peace and Steve Spade.
And we're back. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Deceive Reality Podcast. My name is David Peace and Steve Spade is here as well. Steve, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Great. And we've got an amazing guest, Perseus. Perseus, how are you doing?
Thanks I'm good. Us. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's great. It's great to have you here and get to talk all things magic. And it's good to be properly back after a few weeks of me having COVID and then just getting a delay. But we're back and we're good to go.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be going. The joys of the world. So we always like to, 100%. We always like to start the podcast with like a similar sort of topic, which is how you got into magic and maybe how you found your style of performing or like the types of things you like to do. So how did like this whole world really encapsulate your life?
I got into magic like I think all of us for the wrong reasons. So I got into magic by accident. I was with my best friend, actually. He's a cousin of mine as well, and we got into a trick shop to buy something completely different. We went in to buy fake blood to pull on a prank, and we ended up leaving with a little book of beginner tricks, and we started studying it on our way back on the train, and we got bit. He's also a magician. We got bit by a magic bug, and at first you start magic to for the admiration, for the attention, for the social awkwardness or whatever, and the interesting part is why you stay. And personally, I stayed when I started looking at it as an art form. I grew up in an artistic family. My father is an architect and a painter. My mom was a reporter but also a painter, so I grew up in music, in comics, and that's what I studied. Actually, I studied comic books and sketching. And then when I started doing magic, in the first years, I was all about the the brain reactions and folding them. And at some point, I think it was when I spent a little time in Italy. I went to see the Sistine Chapel, and I looked up that masterpiece that Michelangelo did. And I remember myself, sitting like this for 45 minutes. And not understanding what time is, where am I, who am I, and in the end, I was like, I cannot describe how I felt. This is a new emotion that this guy created in me through the ages, and I was like, that's what I want to do. That I want to create new emotions, and at that point, I was really into magic. I was like, this is going to be my vessel. I'm going to change, I'm going to shift my prism through which I'm studying and looking at magic, make it arts. I'm going to see magic as an art and trying to find ways to truly express myself through it and create experiences rather than puzzles.
So, yeah, it's really interesting approach to magic as like the art form. So we all reference it as like, this is art, it's my art performance. And then it's just like trick for the sake of doing the tricks. So I think it's very interesting to look at it from that artistic and try and get the metaphors in, and it can help as well fitting into events and stuff like that. I'm guessing because if you're at an event for a certain topic, I know I was at a load of Pride events recently, and there was people doing songs about it. There were people doing poetry about the topic, and I was always thinking if I was to do magic here, how could I theme it around it? It's easy for corporate stuff like recycling, energy, but it's so different.
The thing is that the topics I mostly talk about and mostly explore through magic are universal,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about love. I'm talking about relationships. I'm talking about loss. I'm talking about death. I'm talking about connection. Talking about luck. I'm talking about stuff that we all have in mind and we see them in our own way, and applying that to the spectator and having them invest emotionally, and this is something I'm going to keep saying it, I'm going to keep preaching it wherever I am. Stop having people sign cards. It is fruitless. If you perform a piece of magic around friendship, right? And instead of them going okay, pick a card and sign it, if you tell them, all right, this is going to be a piece about around relationships, why don't you go ahead and select a card? It doesn't matter the identity, because it is what you write on it that's going to matter. Because I want you to write a childhood friend, a friend you were really close together back in the day. You're not anymore. And they do. Now they have immediately invested on that card. That card is not the three of diamonds. This represents that childhood friend for them. And when he gets lost and gets brought back into the top through a memory or blah, 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 whatever you do, in the end, when you give them away that card, it has a specific, A, has a specific emotional anchor for them, and B, it completely and utterly reminds them exactly what the effect was about and what happened. Instead of finding a random card with a signature that, did he find it? Was that in the wallet? I don't remember. If they see that, oh, that's Steve. That was the piece that he did it for us about the friendship, my childhood friend. Remember, they remember exactly what happened, and I think this is really important to have an emotional investment from the audience to your magic.
A lot of people try to like put an emotional hook in, but if it seems kind of false or not genuine, then it doesn't work. When I was watching some of your work, you've made your magic very human. You've made it not about the tricks, even though the tricks are obviously very strong and the material is very strong, and there's a lot of good, classics of magic within your work. It doesn't look like a coins across, or it doesn't look like you know what I mean. It's completely different extension of what you've seen before, and I think people will go away with the story and how you made them feel more than just the trick.
Exactly, because I tell someone, okay, I'm going to make this coins go from one hand to the other. Coin number 1. Coin number 2, coin number 3, and finally coin number 4 is going to land on your hand. There you go, all 4 coins. What is the subtitle of that? Look how great I am. look what I can do and you cannot. That is the only subtitle in that effect. I mean, talking about destinations and having them do the clicking, to signify the effort and all that, and then in the end, putting in the hands, because sometimes you need to do it on your own. Sometimes there are obstacles, in the back of the mind, if not everyone, at least most of them, will make connections, will remember something that troubled them, will invest emotionally to, and in the end, when they do it to their friend's hand, and you go like, before you open your hand, we counted one by one, we took one out. She made it vanish, and she claims she put it back, which means that if you open your hand and instead of 3, there are 4 again, that would mean that first, she did a wonderful job, and second, we have proven philosophically that if you put in the effort, it doesn't matter if there are obstacles. You all reach your destination. So you leave them with a really nice message, a really nice, inspiration. It is not a puzzle. It's not me against them. It's not, catch me if you can. There is nothing confrontational. It's like we're sharing a magical experience. I'm just the transmitter of that. But it's on you. And I also I've talked about it numerous times in other interviews and stuff. But I am so proud of it. So I do this simple trick, right? It's basically a straw. They tie 3 knots on it. I put it in my hand, and it becomes a straw heart. That's the effect. That is the most simple effect in the world, right? Now, the way I phrase it is like, it's like one man's trash is another man's treasure. Have you heard of that expression? They say they do, and a lot of the times, it is us who put the value to objects and things. We infuse them with memories, we bathe them with emotion, and they become valuable to us. And that's exactly what we're going to do. You, Steve, is going to do something amazing for Samantha. I want you to take this straw, for instance, the utter, trash. You want to use, take, drink, throw away. I want you to tie 3 knots on it. But with every knot, I want you to think of one beautiful memory you had with her. And they do. And you can see them, thinking, that, trying to search their. And then I take it, put it in the hand, take another straw. I want you to put it in and put it in your heart as if you're sucking a little drop of your love that you have her and drop in the other straw. And they do. And they use the straw to steer the tied straw and go like, no, now what do we do? Steve here infused that piece of trash with memories. He also bathed it with a little bit of emotion. And from Steve to you, Samantha, a small treasure. And you open it up into the straw heart. Now, when I do this, 100% she will turn to him and thank him, because she feels that he did it for her. You will see them hold hands. You will see them kiss. And my biggest achievement is I did that to a couple, and they came back next week. And I always ask them. I cannot remember everything I performed. Was like, oh, can you remind me what we did last week? And they go like, yeah, you did. And they explained the first two uh, of the effects. And in the end, let me see if I can share this. Can I share my screen?
I think you should be. Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
They did this.
Oh wow.
Yeah. They reach down, they pull their blouse, their t-shirts on the side, and they actually have tattooed the straw heart on them, both of them.
That's very cool.
And if this is not the strongest argument on scripting magic, nothing is. I mean, it's just the simplest effect. I mean, but it's not what the effect is about, and it's not what the effect is. What's the method? It's what the effect's about and how they invest it, and to bring it back, a lot of the things, when you talk about scripting or you talk about stories, magicians go defensive. I don't want to talk about, the cards are the thieves and they're going to steal your card. That's not scripting. That's not what I'm talking about. Also, that doesn't mean, as you said, that the strong could not be, the effect cannot be strong. You can do amazingly metaphorical and symbolistic magic with amazingly visual and strong magic. It doesn't mean that scripting should be a crutch of you not practicing the hard stuff, the visual stuff, and all that, and performing them. It is, one complements the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Because even just thinking about designing the cards there, my brain went straight to like Anniversary Waltz. And like a simple thing you could do there is have them write each other's names is like one thing, or write like something they love about each other. Like imagine at a wedding asking the bride to write something she loves about the groom writes something she loves about the bride, or like the two grooms or the two brides or whatever way you're working it, and then the cards fuse together and it's in the middle of the deck, or like what in their hands and that sort of stuff. That's something that they'll remember even more.
Yeah, I did a thing before where you get them to write the first thing that they were attracted to about each other. And if they're on their wedding day, they could be gone out 5-10 years or whatever. And now they're getting married, and it's funny. You've got that moment where they're trying to maybe remember what it is. It might be, I said, like, no, don't show anyone. It's a family show kind of a thing, because you never know what they could write. But you get loads of byplay with it. It's great fun. And then it's personal to them at the end when it fuses. They keep it. I don't want to see it. It's not about what you wrote.
Yeah, and again, you can you can dig deeper. You can tell, I could ask you to write, what made you get with this guy, or what do you like about him? But I think I want you to write down what kept you there. Why are you with him? What makes you stick to him? And you turn to the spouse and go do the same thing. Write what he has, what she has, or whatever. And if
she says money at that stage, it's too late because they're already married. So.
yeah, that would be sad. That would be sad. But again, that's because that could happen. But again, that's on your prestige, your delivery, your whatever. They can understand if there is room for a joke or you're being serious. I really want to make a beautiful experience. Yeah. Don't just start talking about dicks and things. It's like they can feel the vibe. And by all means, you can be playful, you can be humorous. It doesn't have to be serious and
depends on the couple too, I guess. Some people are just going to be who they are. They're not going to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm just picturing that couple if they ever broke up with the straw tattoos, trying to explain to their next partner why they have the tattoo of a straw hat. Like, well, there was this magician. It's like, okay, leave it there. It's done.
Yeah, forget about it.
I have enough information. It's definitely interesting. One of the things we talk to performers around the world that were always interesting is like, what is the magic scene like over in Greece and like that style of performance? And is it like, is having magic in restaurants and stuff like that quite popular over there, or like what sort of events are the big ones?
It wasn't so much when I started. So I basically started when I started doing table hopping and close-up magic, which is my expertise. Let's just say my love, my passion. Nobody did it. So everybody was like, they were doing kids parties and all, and I did a fair share of kids parties as well. But nobody moved on to restaurants, moved on to corporate work and all that. So when I did it, they thought I was crazy, but I knew, that it could work. I've seen it to other countries. I mean, we should do it as well. So basically, at first it was hard because it was, the restaurants were like, "What? What do you mean magic?" But it only takes one door. If one door opens, then it's like snowballs, because then you can go to the next place and go, you can come and see what I mean every Wednesday on so and so. So go, the other guy, the other restaurant thinks, oh, so someone has trust him, so he must be good or whatever. And then it snowballs, and you have two residencies, and then you go 3 and 4 and 5. So nowadays, there are some magicians that do some stage shows here and there, some corporate shows here and there, a little bit of table hopping, but are very few. I mean, like if you're talking about full-time performers here in Greece, it's like, I would say, outside of kids' parties, I would say 5 max.
Yeah. It's interesting how like magic is in different worlds. Like even in like there's massive difference between like Ireland and the UK. Like there's like for here like restaurants really aren't that much of a thing doing magic. I think if you get in between an Irish person and food, you're going to get your hand bitten off. So it's like
that's why you go before the food.
Yeah, you got to get there early. But it's one of those things. But like here, it's like weddings are really big, but in America, weddings isn't really a thing. So it's like it's interesting how it does evolve in different places and that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. I'm doing all of these. I mean, I'm doing table hopping. I have some residencies. I do corporate gigs, weddings, private events. But I've been doing that for almost 20 years now, because I've built my circle. The companies know me, by the private parties suggest me, to word of mouth and all that. So it is how much you're willing to chase it and, knock on doors over and over again, and how much you believe in it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Have a vision.
Yeah, you have to back yourself in that situation and say, like, give me a chance. And if I can do it and it goes well, then like we can talk. Absolutely. Then. Yeah, because you can't just assume people will be like, yeah, sure, okay, I'll pay you whatever you want to come into my restaurant.
Like, and the thing is, after a certain amount of time, because I am doing metaphorical, symbolistic kind of magic, more emotional and romantic stuff, people are booking me for that. They're not booking a magician. Oh, let's get this guy. They want Perseus because he does this and that, which is different for them.
Yeah,
and it's to me, it's awesome. There's not a better emotion, to express yourself and seeing people receive it positively.
It is powerful. I mean, it is an art form that you can kind of decide what emotion you're going to get from the audience depending on what energy you put into it, which is a kind of a. I know musicians have it in a sense. If they play a sad song or a very emotional song, they can draw that. But we can do it on a with less build. You know what I mean? We don't need as much time to get people in a certain mindset. Depending on what the
amount of spectators, the amount of spectators I've seen cry, and it's like, it's like, but that is amazing. It means that you connected. It means that
you did your job.
You
did your job.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly. And to me, it's a wonderful feeling.
When you started like transitioning into more of that style of magic with the metaphors and stuff, was it like a switch or did you like slowly start dripping it into your set that like one trick would be more emotional and that side of things, and then it kind of took over?
It happened gradually. What I mean by that is, like, I used to be a comedy magician. I used to be a full-on Jim Carrey with playing cards. And at some point, not like and at some point, I would finish a set, and the table would die laughing. Go, oh, thank you so much. We laughed so much. We laughed so much. We laughed so much. It was like, and at some point, I stopped. I was like, nobody's commenting on the magic, though. I mean, they laugh a lot. I get that, but I do magic. I did read their mind. So I did a conscious choice. I was like, all right, I understand that I'm using humor as a safety net, because I was too anxious to approach a table without being witty or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, all right, that is your mission now. Okay, from now on, humor is gonna be below 20%. You have to charm them with your mystery. You have to charm with your character, charm them with what you have to say. And yeah, at first, it was scary because I was used to go into a group, immediately throw a few jokes out, they would laugh, I got them on my side, let's move on. But now just approaching a table and introducing yourself calmly and talk about something interesting, just slowly draw them in to something deeper and something more esoteric and more emotional. At first it's scary, but once you manage how to do it, how to shift your how to have a presence, how to learn to walk, because it's a different thing if you're walking hunched and you're just shuffling cards. It's a different thing if you learn how to posture yourself and walk into a space where necks are snapping, like this guy is something, he's important for some reason. This is all acting, because they say your act begins the moment you walk into the premises. It's not begins when you walk on stage or when you walk on the table. The act begins when you walk into the premises, and I truly stand behind that. So it's a study. It's a study of human behavior, of posture, of mannerisms, of gestures, of looks, of smiles, of acting, of all of it. And if you add to that an honest expression and you sit down and write it down and edit, remove duplicate words, all the ums and ahs that come if you're jamming.
Yeah.
It becomes an experience, becomes a completely new approach, which it feels really close to my heart, feels comfortable to me now, more comfortable than jokes or more humoristic type of performance.
You can see how it would stand out, if there's 5 magicians or whatever, like you were saying, and they're all kind of doing similar stuff, and then you're doing your more unique stuff or more pattern. It's not, I wouldn't say pattern, but like more storyline kind of pieces.
Scripted.
It's going to scripted out, and you've got that emotional connection that you're trying to get across to the audience. They're going to go away, even though it could be the same trick per se. They're going away with a completely different experience.
Absolutely,
so I can see how that would
they
work.
they will tell you a lot of the times. They will, in the end, they go like, I didn't know that magic could be like that. They, instead of going, how do you do it, they went up, thank you so much, that was beautiful. And again, the reactions it gets are not the blatant ones most of the time. There are some times that they scream and all that, but most of the time it's just them holding their hearts, sitting there with their jaws up and just that's what I want. That's what I'm going for. And magicians might be afraid of that because the managers should hear the laughs and the applause. No, he shouldn't. The managers of the premises should see them coming over and over and over again every week. And if he ever has a doubt, you can go and tell him, ask anyone, go get feedback, go ahead. And when they do, they will hear a shit ton of compliments about you. It doesn't matter if they scream or if they clap. It matters what the experience was for them.
Yeah, I think it's a good way of combating something that's like a big thing in the magic industry at the moment, is like the TikTok magic tricks and the exposure and all that sort of stuff. And that if you're just relying on the trick, it being exposed on TikTok, which is always awful, it's just like, especially with some of the Cuban bottle stuff that's been happening at the moment, that it's just absolute bullshit. But if you can change the presentation to be more meaningful, they won't recognize it as, if you just do the same trick, they might recognize it. But if you do a completely different presentation, as Steve was saying, that they don't even recognize it, you can get around the exposure and get magic back to being this thing.
Absolutely. And also because of the framework, the emotional connection, the theme around it, most of the times you can quickly get them at a point where they don't care about the method. They instantly understand that, oh shit, that is something special, I need to pay attention, this is an experience. And in the end, they're fooled, but they don't care. it's such strong magic, some strong impact on them that they just like they thank you afterwards. And it's important, it's important for us to care, because and it's hard, and it took me years to do that, to leave your, and I still have some, I won't lie, but to leave your ego on the doorstep, to try to make it about them. I mean, yes, the expression is yours. You're going to express what you feel. You're going to tell your story or tell your point of view on X theme, but you need to design it in a way that it will make a wonderful, beautiful experience for them. And if you don't care about relationships, don't perform a piece of magic about relationships. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, being genuine is probably a crucial part of this, because if it seems just like a script and it doesn't seem natural, then you're going to lose them. They're going to go, "What's this guy talking about? What a fucking nutcase?" You know what I mean? They're going to be like, what's happening? Yeah.
Absolutely. Because in the end, if I sit down and write a script about hopelessness, which is basically my ambitious card, I feel connected to it. I have felt hopeless at points in my life. I know how horrible this feeling is, and finding hope again, letting it rise to the surface. It's such a hard thing, and there's always one thing that gives you hope in life, and blah blah. And I truly believe that. So to me, learning that script is easy, because this is not like a random theme that I have to write the script on and then just sit down and recite it, because I know what I want to talk about. I want to talk about hopeless. I want to talk about how it feels seeing hope going away from you. You may turn to praying. You may turn to find strength within yourself, but in time, hope will rise back to the top. Blah blah, and it's stuff that I truly believe in. So it's like it cannot be non-authentic while I perform it. Even if I forget a word or two, I know what I'm talking about. I know exactly what I want to express. And
it's very powerful.
Yeah, it'll make people's magic unique as well, because everybody cares about different things. So people won't be doing the same routines.
Absolutely. And to me, a lot of people, they go like, I don't want to talk about love. I don't want to talk about deep things. Don't talk about what you care. I love D&D, right? I play D&D. I have a piece of magic about D&D. Why not? I love books. I have numerous facts about books that I love. You like football? Okay, how would you express your love for football? The feeling you get when you're in the field, either playing or watching a game. How can you make that into a magic effect? How can you do it? And that's the thing. You don't have to express yourself exactly how someone else does. Talk about what you care about. Talk about what you want to talk about, because that is what will make you connect with your audience, because they can tell. They can tell that you're passionate about what you're talking about. You truly believe in it.
Yeah, it's true. Definitely a better kind of a human approach, because so many performers are just clones of other performers, you know what I mean? Or especially if they've watched a certain performer for a certain amount of time, or if they're connected to another performer or something, and they just become a clone, and you've got like 5 guys, or it might as well be the same guy. And you get a lot of that.
We've all been there, right? I mean,
it can happen. It is easily.
Yeah, of course. It's the way you learn. You imitate. You're getting inspired, and without knowing, you perform a Michael Marr effect, you become Michael Marr. You perform a Jeff McBride effect, you become Jeff McBride. It takes time until you finally find at some point you find your voice, and that is my voice for the last at least 15 years. It might change. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went through my Blaine phase, and then my Luke Jermaine phase, and then my Darren Brown phase.
Yeah,
and then eventually you find who you are.
Yeah, at some point you will find you find your voice, and because in the end, when you do find it, you feel so comfortable. It feels so nice. You're like, this is what I'm gonna do. Yes, and you do it, and it gets reactions, and you create this experience. You connect with your audience. It's the best thing in the world,
Absolutely.
And it's not a formula, obviously. It's not like it's because a lot of times, you just a magician friend showed you a trick. You're like, oh, I definitely want to perform this, and and just think of the script. How can I use? What can I talk about this? See the moves and see what it reminds you in life or whatever, blah, 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 and build around the effect. Other times you have the script. I want to talk about this. Okay, how would I do that in the magic? Would be a card trick? Would be a coin trick? Mentalism? and then build the effect around the script. It's like it's either way, you know.
It's as well as, I suppose, coming out of the pandemic and the way the world is and stuff at the moment, that kind of message of hope, even if it is just that alone, you know, and you're gonna try to tie that into people. I mean, everyone's felt a little bit kind of, you know, jilted, you know, we're in this kind of a weird
Absolutely.
matrix that we're all in globally. It doesn't matter. It's affected somebody on some level, you know, everyone, I suppose, really. So that must be nice now that you're back performing and things, and you're meeting people again to kind of
absolutely
push a little bit of that.
Absolutely. And the thing is, especially because people have felt hopeless, felt, you know, alone, have this frustration and all that. When you're going to talk about themes like that, you need to be comfortable being vulnerable. Because if I come to you and go like, "Oh, Steve, what's your biggest fear?" You're gonna go like, "I'm not in fucking business," you know. But if I come and tell you, Steve, I want to show you something that has to do with fear. Now, my personal biggest fear is so and so, and to me, it keeps me up in the night. Blah blah blah. Do you mind sharing what's yours? It's much easier for you to tell me, because I shared something of me. I mean, it's only fair if you want to, you know, share something about you. It's in the same goes, you know, with hopeless. You know, I'm talking about hopelessness and all that. So I tell them what brings hope, what gives me hope. And when they say the card, I want you to write down what gives hope to you. And they do without a second thought, because I've been vulnerable. I gave them a piece of me, and they're happy to give me a piece of them. So when you're, because you know, people have gone through this horrible times, last 2-3 years or whatever, they are more sensitive. They are more vulnerable. So addressing certain issues must be done with tenderness.
Yeah, I've even found, even doing Stoom, like I'm an escape artist, I do a lot of escapes as well as my magic, and even people can kind of like that kind of restraint idea or being isolated or whatever, people kind of relate to it a lot differently now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even recently, I was speaking to somebody who's just into magic, just at an event, and he was talking about like David Blaine being isolated in the box, but he was like, I can really understand what that kind of is now, you know what I mean? Because we all were, you know, had the restrictions, you can't leave your home, and obviously it wasn't a Perspex box and everyone's laughing at you in London, but you know, the same kind of people can kind of get in that mindset a lot easier now.
They
Because we've
actually
all been
say
through it.
that's why Houdini was such a huge success, because magicians thought, oh, he just did escapes. He didn't just do escapes. He basically told all the people, especially those having hard times, poverty, sickness, or whatever, that you can escape. You can get out of it. That's what he did. That's what he told them. If I can get out of a straitjacket hanged like 10 stories high, you can get out of poverty. That's what he did. And that's why
during the Great Depression as well, and like after World War One and all that stuff, where people were feeling at their lowest, was when he blew up the biggest.
Exactly.
I mean, there's lots of writings about him being like the world's first superhero of sorts, because he had
absolutely.
super ability that people just believed everything he could do.
Have you read Kalush's biography?
Yes, yeah, incredible.
Beautiful book. Beautiful book.
It's probably one of the best, you know, with the most amount of detail. Yeah, I think so.
I agree. And it's, you know, and in the end, I mean, he died from a, you know, a heckler, basically. How sad is that?
So if you learned anything from Houdini's the Smize is like, if you've got a heckler, you got to hit them first.
Especially if you've got appendicitis.
Different times.
So sad.
It's one of those things. Actually, it was something. My wife went to see the new Elvis movie out, and they were talking about how like his manager would force him on stage when he was sick and all this sort of stuff. And then there was like the tie-ins to Michael Jackson and all that being forced on. And we always have to think that when Houdini died, like he had like pneumonia, his appendix was at him, his wrist was broken, his ankle was broken. Our natural instinct is to be like, oh my God, he's such showman. He just kept striving on. But for all we know, he had a manager behind him, like, kicking him onto the stage, being like, you sold tickets. And he's like, I don't want to be out here. But like, it's like that. The way the story is told is really interesting. That's like he's
the myth. It's the myth that it builds. Yeah. Do you know? I think the whole dance of Elvis was made out of anxiety because his knees were shaking or something.
Yeah.
And he created that thing that he did with the knees, and everybody thought that this was an amazing dance he's doing.
Yeah.
Powerful.
That is
Making
something
the best of a bad situation.
Yeah,
That
adapting.
is it is something as well. Like when you have a negative, it's turned positive. Like for one of the things in my ambitious card routine, I used to always, when I was younger, first doing it, and you'd have to like riffle up the back, drop one card, catch it to do a load on for a thing, and I drop it constantly when I was trying to do it. So then my second phase, since I was a teenager and the whole way through, I now say I will now do it in slow motion. And I have all the time in the world to make sure I get it. And it's like, and it gets a laugh because I'm doing it like ridiculous. I'm not moving, but it's like it gives me all the time in the world to get my move, and it's just something that was coming from nerves, but is now a presentational ploy that I still use, even though I can do it without it.
It's one of those things where if you can't hide it, highlight it. You know, it's
exactly.
Yeah,
Put a circle around.
Yeah. Talking about like myths and legends, I think you were kind of mentioning myths there and stuff. I mean, the Medusa project is kind of like where I first saw some of your stuff. How or where did that come from? Did it come from the story initially of Medusa, or was it the effect? Or
funnily enough, so when I started Magic here in Greece, when I was 20 or whatever, the local old guard, the local magicians would use ancient Greek names as stage names. So we had Plato the magician, you had Aristotle the magician, and all that. So my name is actual Perseus, right? So I was like, I don't want to be like them, so I'll start with another French name. So I started with a random French type name and all that. And after a few years, I was like, you know what? I can be different than them with my magic. I don't need a stage name. I'm going to use my actual name. But I want to make an effect. I want to make people remember my name. And immediately my thought went to Medusa because supposedly Perseus killed Medusa. So, and I was like, start searching, okay, how can I make stuff turn to stone? And what stuff can I turn? Can I turn a deck? Can I turn a coin? Can I turn a lighter, a Sharpie, or whatever? So, and then I started all that. I learned how to mold. I learned a lot of things during the years. I pitched it to every company ever existed, and nobody could produce it. Everybody would say, it's too expensive. We cannot do it, blah, blah. So, on December, I launched my own magic company. I launched Orion Magic Productions.
Brilliant. Congrats.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put that out. I love that project. I think that could make sense because to me, and I really don't want to diss Omnideck because obviously I think Paul Harris came with it first with his stuck deck, then came the Omnideck, then came Phantom deck and all that. Stuck decks, vanishing decks, so it's like they're here forever. But to me, it always had there was this problem, in the end, when they open their hands, there's only one question in their minds. When did he switch the deck with that plastic block? There's never a case where in their minds they actually believe that was the deck. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you hold the deck of cards and they see it change and be engraved and all that, in the end, it turned over and there's the card. I had people afraid of shaking my hands afterwards. I'd be like, "Oh, thank you so much." I'm going, no, thanks. Because they held that they knew that was the deck, and now it's not. This is petrified. So to me, that is much more powerful, much more experience. And again, I of course use a metaphor, talk about Medusa and how it's my belief that Medusa symbolizes the truth, because we all have truths within us that we're afraid to face in the fear of being petrified. And so once you select a card that represents your truth, blah blah, then they do, you put it back, and then I bring out the little coin with the mirror, which is basically a ghost mirror, because a lot of times, in order to face your truth, you need to face yourself. And that also calls back to the actual myth where Perseus used the mirror to kill Medusa. And you go like, but when you have to face yourself, try to hide it. So I want you to fog it. They go, and they see a 5. And they go like this, and I see their eyes, and go like, but that's half the truth. And even though, and then I start petrifying the deck, even though you feel you may get petrified, even if you do get petrified, that doesn't mean you shouldn't face your truth. And I turn it over, and it's their card that's in the face of the deck. And it it has strong magic beats, but with a meaning, with a reason why magic, what this magic's not. It doesn't happen just because I can. It's about the message. It's about expression. It's about what I'm talking about. And I adore Medusa. I recently actually we did a small change in our in our packaging, because I used to have, I don't know, where is it? Where it is. So you used to have, this is basically the box for Medusa, which is quite thick, and it was black on the bottom for cost reasons. And now we're doing better. So I make it slimmer, because that's how it should be, and we print the back with color. So it's like much better. And it's like I cannot wait to see it, because people are sending me stuff, but I want to see more. I want to see what people can do with Medusa, the Medusa project, because petrifying a deck of cards, a lighter, a Sharpie, or and we are thinking of expansions. Obviously, we're thinking about making coins, maybe a zipper lighter, because a lot of the magicians carry zipper lighters, and a die as well.
Yeah, that'd be
cool.
Yeah, we're working on
it. Even if you can get stuff like, depending on the gig, and like if you're getting paid well enough, you could like give, like, imagine giving a petrified deck to like your booker or something.
I mean,
as like
we sell refills
Yeah.
for those who buy the project from us, and I give them away. I mean, it's not fair because I make them, but and it's worth it. It's like $50 for a deck. I mean, to good client, to good customer, you know, that you to a good wedding, good corporate gig. In the end, going like, you can keep that. They're gonna put that all over their fireplace. They're not throwing that away.
It makes it look like you could do it whenever you want as well. Because if you go, no, that's mine, then that's not your special box.
Yeah.
But if you're like, keep it, I can make another one. It's fine.
Like, it's like that I cannot use it anymore. That used to be the deck. It's like it makes more the myth more plausible.
Yeah, it's cool what you can kind of do with it as well. Of like a Zippo lighter, an open Zippo lighter could look cool. Like depending on how you do the change, and a lighter with a flame shape, like the top of it, so you can turn it with the lighter on and stuff. Could look very cool.
I'm thinking practical reasons. This could break. It will break there and there. No.
Yeah.
It'll probably be a closed Zippo lighter.
But
it is a cool concept though, and to take like that kind of myth and legend. Obviously, Ireland is full of myths and legends and stuff like that. So you know that there is lots of kind of similarities in that sense, and it's kind of cool that you took something that people know. When you say Medusa, people know what that is. And it's one of those kind of cooler kind of stories as well. Everyone kind of can visualize her pretty quickly. So
it is, and also that's why we did the coin. Like we added this custom coin, because I always have this pin that is a Medusa pin, because my name is Perseus and I use it. So I used to use that, but when we put it out as a product, it was like, I can't make people. I can't tell people now. You got to go out and find a pin of some sort with a head on. We need to provide that. We need to put something in. That's where the mirror coin came from.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's a very cool concept. Like just taking something from where you are, like that legend is a bit better than like what we have, where it's like a guy killed a guard dog with a ball and had to become a guard dog.
The next corporate gig or house gig that I do, I'm going to try to kill their dog with a slitter. See when I'm like, oh god, it's incredible.
Cú Chulainn is born again.
What is the myth?
There was a guy who
Cú Chulainn,
had Cú Chulainn with a ball and a slitter, and he had to go into a house, and there was a guard dog blocking him. So he killed the guard dog, and the guy got so annoyed that he had to become the new guard dog of the house. He ended up becoming like a warrior and stuff afterwards, all that sort of stuff. But like that was
come on,
story.
You can totally make a magic effect out of that.
Yeah, you could.
You could. I mean, there's a lot of myths and legends learned.
Yeah, like that's one. Like the salmon of knowledge is another one that we've talked about a few times. Like me and Steve brainstormed about it, where it's, there's like a salmon that if you eat it, the first person who eats the salmon gets all the knowledge in the world. So
like a forbidden fruit.
Yeah, and then there was a guy who was like, Was it Kukulkan the one? I don't know. They all have weird Irish
No, it
names.
was son of Fionn or something. But
Yeah, Fionn McCool.
he was preparing the salmon for the High King of Ireland, and when he was preparing, he burnt his fingers and he put his thumb in his mouth. And when he did, he got all the knowledge, and then it was no good to the king. But it didn't matter. He took over from the king because he had all the knowledge.
Mm.
So it's all these kind of like peasants to rich stories and all that. It's all tied in. They got metaphors and everything, obviously, like everything else.
Turning a jack into a king. Job done.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah,
take a Joker, maybe.
Yeah, Joker.
Joker's a king. Use some coin magic in it. I mean, come on. That's where everyone should draw inspiration from. Whatever you may hear an interesting quote, a funny story, a nice saying, something. Write it down. Write it down. You never know. And at some point, you're going to be like, oh, I can use that. That fits that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something you said earlier that I want to go back to it when you said, like, when you walk into a venue, that's when your persona starts or the performance begins, like when you're there. And I think it's something that's like something I've been focusing on as well. Of like when I first show up to a gig, I do a lot of mentalism. And I always found it weird to just go up to the first group and be like, I can read your mind and like body language or whatever way you do it. So when I first get to a gig, I always get there a bit early. If it's a drink reception or a table, I just wander around, but never like with just like nervously wandering with a deck of cards. Like I'm too nervous to approach anybody. It's just observing, walking with purpose around, observing people. Do that for about 10 minutes. Then when I approach people and go, oh, you're the type of person who does this, they go, oh my God, he was watching us a while ago and he picked up on all this stuff. And it's like, it kind of makes more sense and adds to the mystique of like, I'm actually doing what I say I'm doing.
Absolutely. And, it's a different thing. I was having this conversation today with a mentalist, a friend of mine. He does mentalism and he's like, I cannot approach them. I don't know how to approach them. So I end up doing, card tricks. And I don't want to do magic. I want to be, a full-on mentalist. And you go, tell them, introduce yourself. And obviously don't tell them I'm a mind reader because the first smart ass is going to be like, oh, well, what am I thinking, man? You should just, approach them, good evening, blah, blah, my name is so-and-so. And, I play games with the mind, that is. A little bit of psychology, a little bit of body language. I'll explain as we go along and just go into your first routine, But be comfortable, be polite, ask for their names, introduce yourself. A lot of the times, magicians, mostly magicians, rather than mentalists, rush, let's go to the first routine. They got to see some magic as fast as possible. No, they don't. They don't. There's this strange dude that just approached the table. They need to get to know that guy. What does he want? What is happening?
Definitely. I think that's so important. It's just to like introduce yourself. Because I remember like early on when I was doing gigs and it was something I consciously work on, I'd be like leaving a table being like, I never told them my name. Crap. I actually never told them my name. I just wandered away. I just like, hey guys, watch this. Okay, bye. And I'm at the next table. It's like,
pick a card. What?
But like, I mean, how many times have you met somebody who's been like, oh, I met this magician and he did X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, oh, what was his name? And they're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
No idea. Oh, but was it good? Yeah, it was very good, but I don't know his name. Then that's a waste of time. And if everyone's doing the same tricks, then you're just going to get lost in the mix.
It is. That's exactly how it is. I mean, it's like that's why I'm saying, in order to script well, to create meaningful magic, to express yourself, first you need to dig deep and find who you are, understand how you want to be perceived, who you are as a performer, who you are as in magic, in mentalism. What do you want to be your image? How do you want to perceive? You walk into a venue, what do you want them to think? When you end your set, what do you want them to feel? You need to start from somewhere, to build a magical, if you will, identity, because, if you don't have that, you are in the void. You're going to do some of that and some of that and some of that. When it comes to mentalism, they do a little bit of mind reading, a little bit of animations and loops or whatever. They do a little bit of VSP, a little bit of muscle reading. And so what is your power? Why? I mean, you can possibly do everything. Where does it stem from? Can you move objects? Are you more of a telepathic guy? Can you read minds? Can you read the future? What is your supposed ability? You cannot have all abilities. I'm sorry. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It needs to make some sort of sense.
I'm a mentalist who can turn stuff to stone. That's my power.
There you go. Why not?
There you go.
A molecular manipulator.
Yeah. I think it is important to have it's kind of like the Superman effect. Superman without kryptonite, he has to have some weakness. You don't want to be just Superman without kryptonite. Doesn't work. Nobody cares about that character. You have to have some sort of limitations, and
it depends as well what kind of magician you want to be. If you want to, if you want to be a magician and just gig and that's it, that's fine. But if you want to be kind of more of an artist and more creating something or be remembered for something more than just a card trick or whatever, it all depends. But there's room for everyone in that world.
Absolutely, and the thing is, when it comes to art, there's this misconception, this stigma, among magicians, that you cannot call yourself an artist. Other people should call you an artist. No. If you cannot be accidentally an artist, you need to choose that path. You need to choose to express yourself. You cannot be, bullshit, I did some art. This is not how it works. It's got to be by design, by choice.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, are ashamed to be, to call themselves artists, or, telling, this is my art, this is the way I express myself, and all that, I don't know, maybe if the audience believes so, it's like, no, you need to be a conscious choice. You need to choose to do that. And the same goes, with gigging. I just want to be an entertainer. I love magic. I want to fool them. Good, awesome, but make it a choice. Know why.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is a question that you need to answer. Why are you doing magic?
Yeah.
Because if you don't know, maybe if you learn, if you ask, you may find something more. Maybe you change. Maybe you evolve. But a lot of people don't.
Perfect statement. I've asked a lot of people who've want to kind of go from just doing a few tricks, and they ask you, how do you get onto TV? How do you get into movie consultancy or whatever? And I asked the same question. I say, why are you in it? Like, what is it? Because is it fame? Is it money? Is it just be able to do it? Is it an ego thing, or is it lack of confidence? Whatever. And if they can't give you a genuine enough reason, I usually don't help them, because they kind of don't. You can't help someone who can't help themselves in a sense.
They need to think those things. People need to. Magicians need to think those things. To have answers. To understand. And it's not like it's understanding yourself. Basically, I'm into this for so and so years. Why am I into this? Why am I still doing magic? What is it that keeps me in this? And you can find out. You can easily backtrack and understand what it is the passion of the moves. Is it the reaction? Is it my expression and how it bounces over and makes connections with the audience? Is it whatever it is? Just know that's what I think it's important. It doesn't matter what it is. If it is, I just want to fool my friends.
Yeah,
I'm happy. There's room for everyone, and nobody is better or lesser than the other. We're all important in this art form.
And it's something that David Copperfield has talked about a lot. Trying to always push that magic is an art, and it's one of those things that's been kind of held back. And when it was Joel Myers that said it, and I think it was very pointed when he said it. To be fair, he said the thing that was holding back magic becoming an art was like bad magicians that just were just doing the same thing. And you got that thing where like, oh, we had a magician, he wasn't very good or whatever, and that just brand us all the exact same. Even though I'm a magician and escape artist, Dave's a mentalist, and you do your magic and your philosophy and all that kind of stuff. So like we're all branded now as bad magicians because there's one guy with a fucking stripy waistcoat or some shit.
That has to do with the audience's knowledge and friction on magic, how much they've seen and all that. Because if you haven't seen any, because they don't do the same with music. When you hear a bad singer, they go like, oh, that guy's horrible. Yeah. You don't go, music is shit,
Yeah.
But with magic, if you don't have anything to compare, you see, you see the first time you see a magician and he's shit, you're like, oh, I don't like magic. It makes sense. Yeah. And that's why I believe we all hold a great responsibility when you perform to anyone. Anyone, because you could be their first magician. That maybe you are the reason of what they're going to shape their opinion on magic. Yeah. And even if it's if you're just going to vanish some money on the supermarket or whatever to do a joke, do it do it in a way that will make an experience. Do it in a way that it will make them not feel stupid, but feel like love towards magic.
It's true. I mean, it's kind of a crazy. We've talked about this loads of times, myself and Dave, but it's kind of crazy the kind of power that you have in that sense. Like even if it's something as simple as just giving change in to pay for something in a shop and just vanishing one coin. I mean, they've never seen that. That doesn't happen. You know, that's such a weird glitch in the matrix for them. They're just like, what the fuck is happening?
And the thing, the word you use is really important to me. The word power, because people ask me, is magic real? And I honestly tell them, goddamn right it is. You can go to someone having a shitty day and shape their psyche, shape their how they felt before that. You can make them. You can take a little bit of the weight off their shoulders. You can brighten someone's day. You can make someone smile, someone cry. This is real magic to me. I don't care if there are a method to it, but the experience and the result is magical. And it's like we have forgotten how powerful that this is. A lot of the times, magicians stick to the bare minimum. I need to fool them. You are gonna fool them. You're doing magic. That's the bare minimum. That's the premise. You can do something they don't know how it's done. What will you add to that? Well, how can you make it more than that? It's what's important. Don't stress yourself about fooling them or making it impossible to figure out. That's the given. What else are you gonna add to that? What's more?
Yeah, I was speaking recently with a musician friend of mine, Jerry Fish, and he's kind of a theatrical his whole character is kind of like a circus kind of a feel and a kind of this dark circus, but he's a singer, and he was talking about the after effect, like an afterburn almost, where they saw you on stage or they've seen you close up in our case or whatever, and now they go home, but it's the conversation they're having about you, not when you were there in the venue and they saw you live or whatever. It's after the fact. It's like when you see. It's like when you see a movie and it kind of plays in you the next day, a psychological horror or something, and a week later you're like, oh fuck yeah, that bit when that happened, and it jumps back again. We had a big conversation about that, and he was just saying like that afterburn effect is almost like that kind of long-term feeling of what they experience, and then the next time they see you, they bring that feeling with them, and it only gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's how you build fans. That's how you build a following.
And that's why you should, when you give away souvenirs, to make it mementos, make the souvenirs have a specific, somehow resemble what the effect was about. Just not just a sign card. Make it a memory, a strong memory. Where they're gonna see it 5 years from now, and they're gonna be like, oh, I remember what he did with that, blah, 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 and they're gonna remember the theme, the effect, and yourself.
I think it's something that's really interesting as well. Like, in that premise of like living almost magically, so just like magic in your everyday life, or just saying like making something vanish for like the teller when you're buying something or something like that, or like something I used to do back when I used to carry coins. Now I just pay with my phone all the time. Would be like intentionally overpay with coins, so like gives them an extra euro, and that's the thing. Oh, sorry, and just vanish it, and like not even like calling attention to it. That's what I do when I have too many coins. I vanish the coin, or you go to pay for something and you like make it appear or pull it out of something else, and it's those sort of things where it's like think of just giving away one of the Medusa gimmicks as a souvenir. It's like, well, like I do this all the time, so why wouldn't I?
It's like I cannot use it. It's not a deck anymore.
So it's like, it's just this is what happens to me. I live my life this way.
It empowers the myth more. Creates this thing, which is really nice.
Jeff McBride has talked about that too. Obviously, he's big into the philosophy of magic and all that, and about performing something all the time. Like carrying something on you that you can perform all the time, but not because you're going to get a booking out of it, or not because you're trying to impress somebody or whatever. Just because you can, not because they can't. It's just because you're just sharing something that's kind of incredible in one sense or another.
And the same goes on the other way. If you're not in the mood, don't perform. It's better to go like, you can show me something. Better say not today. I'm not in it today, but we can do this another day. Would be my pleasure. Than doing something quick just to get them off your shoulders when you have an opportunity to create someone loving magic. It's better to go like not today. I'm not into it. or whatever, but being polite about it and all that, then just brushing it off with like, okay, there's a card, gone. You're like, oh, nice magician.
It's true. It's a question we get in a lot, especially when we were advertising. That we got different coming in, and the question pops up all the time is like, a professional magician's everyday carry and stuff like that, because you are going to get recognized, especially if you're, got regulars and stuff. So, is there some particular things that you carry all the time yourself, or does it vary?
I always have a deck of cards with me, always. And then what extra I have is mostly stuff I'm working around. Those days. I mean, to me, these days I'm working on my ESP routine actually, and I got this beautiful deck of cards with from Alex Marsh.
He's got a nice ones with we've had him on the podcast a few. I think in May it was, but he's got the ones with, he's got triangles as well instead of wavy lines.
Yes. So I'm going to be producing those with Orion Magic Productions.
Nice.
Reprinting them and putting some stuff in it, and it's a fun thing because I didn't know he did that, because we over this magic server on Discord, and we're talking with other mentalist magicians. We had this debate. I was like, beep, the wavy lines, they make no sense to me. You have a circle, you have a cross, you have a square and a beautiful star. What the hell is this bacon shape in the middle? It's 3, you want 3, damn triangle. And I was at some point we were talking about doing jokes on that. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna produce that. I'm gonna make an ESP routine with triangle. And someone actually was like, hey, Alex Marsh did that. I'm like, he did? I instantly sent him a message, like, I need 2 of those decks to begin with. And then we need to talk about producing that, because I saw it's like self-produced, and like, let's put it out together. Let me republish it, make it into plastic, so it doesn't, so it's waterproof and terrible and that. And he actually agreed, and we are going to put it out sometime soon. But I'm working on that exactly with the triangle, because to me it's much better to take it away from ESP. Yes, there are cards that they were used to test this or so. Fuck that. I mean, I'd rather go like so I want to show you a piece of magic that has to do with connection. Now I have this piece. They have this basically. These are basically flashcards. I use those to teach my son the basic shape. So you have a circle, a cross, blah, blah. But to me, they represent blah blah, and they're just going to my strip. It makes much more sense. It's not about ESP. It's about we're just going to use those because they're basic shapes. And we're not even going to use them as shapes. We're going to use them because, to me, they mean this. And then the effect happens. It's like we need to push magic forward. I mean, how? I mean,
why didn't they use the triangle day one? That's the real question.
What?
Why didn't they just go triangle like immediately? Who was sitting around like a plus, a circle, wavy lines?
I think the counter argument to that is that it is supposed to stick out, so you have one that sticks out to check if if most of them are going to pick it, to check about reverse psychology effects and all that. But to me, that just doesn't make sense. Funnily enough, the Marsh's deck does include wave lines.
Yeah.
He has some, it's like, I think it's 5 sets of 6 cards, because it's also the wave line. But funnily enough, the wave lines are not marked. So basically they are, because they're the only unmarked card. But it's like a small, if you're going to play with the wavy lines, you don't get the marking.
That's very good.
It's a fine hilarious.
The plastic coating is something actually that's coming in a lot more. I think since the pandemic as well, where people are worried about sanitizing things and stuff like that. Because I know like the D. Christopher's ESP cards are plastic coated now. Some decks of cards coming out plastic coated, and it's like it's good even just to wipe stuff down when you're done a gig.
Absolutely, and also if most of us who have done gigs know that if you deal anything on the table, there's a high chance that table is moist.
Yeah.
So it's better to be safe. I mean, just deal the first one, going, oh, there goes that deck.
Another 50 euro.
Going out of the window because you wanted to spill your beer.
Yeah, exactly what it is.
No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that we. And I was about to do it in paper, and I got this friend of mine, Benjamin Francis, who like, I won't buy it. I'm like, why? Make it plastic. Like, yeah, but there is speed. Make it plastic. Like, fine. So yeah, he is right. But he was right. Plastic is better, especially when it comes to the fact that you have to deal with it on the table. It's better to be safe than sorry.
Absolutely. So we have a segment on this show called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, where it's about a story of a maybe performance that started off well and rapidly went downhill shortly afterwards. Do you have a story that pops into your mind on those criteria?
So the story must have all three, good,
It
bad,
doesn't have
and
to have
ugly.
all three. It's just the name we came up with to
Okay.
describe a bad performance.
Because I have, I mean, to me, as I said, if we could break it down to different gigs, I would say, the one with the tattoo is a good one. Like, I feel honored that I've lived through to see that someone tattooing one of my effects on them just because they want to postpone that, keep that memory, that experience more. When it comes to the ugly, let me see if I have any thread. There you go. So as I said, I used to do kids parties. So this is a story about how I almost killed a kid. So there's this David Williamson effect that I've seen back in the day, which is basically like a small gag / effect, right? So the effect is this: you take out a hefty piece of thread, and you put it in your mouth like this, and then you give it this pull to. You have 4 people on stage or on the platform wherever you're performing, and everyone has a piece of thread. And the game is this: the clock is going to start ticking. We all have to roll the thread with our tongues, and whoever does it the fastest wins. Whatever. So and it's funny because you're not doing anything. So you're like this. You're explaining. You're boasting. No, I'm the champion of this game. And if someone is near close, you just pull it back up as you're walking. It's funny because they go like off, and they go again. And in the end, when someone is about to finish, you basically go like this, and suck it, and it goes straight into a ball in your mouth. So that's the joke. You basically go, oh shit, and you win. So it's haha. And I was doing that in the kids' party, and I go like, oh no, and go like this. I go like, well, I guess nobody won the press, and I hear from my left, and I go, what? And I turn and I see a kid turning blue, going like, because he tried it as well, because I'm an idiot, and I go like, I grab him by the neck, go like, open your mouth, straight, my hand goes straight in, just pull, and then take the notepad. This
Never do this
ever again.
Jesus, close call.
I turned and saw a blue kid like this. I'm like, oh no, open your mouth. But that's how you learn, Kids are like, they just like parrots. They say what you say and they're gonna do what you do. So be careful the examples you give.
Did you follow it up by pulling a coin out of his mouth and then some cards and then a rabbit?
I think I gave him the prize. So it was like, you that almost died, you deserve the present. So you won for this round. Let's play another game.
You're like, and that trick is written off the show.
Oh yeah, definitely. I promise you that was the last time I did it. I'm like, nope. No, I don't want to kill a child.
Jesus, no.
Doing magic trick. Please don't.
I wanted to kill a child in one of my shows, but it was different. I was back when I was in kid shows as well. About 15 minutes into my show, one of the kids came up and just kicked me straight in the balls and then walked away. I was just like,
why?
You didn't even have it predicted or anything.
Why?
I think his parents had given out to him previously and told him like, you have to sit down and watch the show, and he just wanted to go play in the bouncing castle and he didn't want to watch the magic show. So then he blamed me for it, I guess.
No, I mean that cuts unfair.
Yeah, it was like, I was like, I think they shouldn't have left them on the bouncy castle. To be fair, it would have been a better show.
Speaking of kids, I remember when I was in kids' parties, and this is something for all the parents out there. Do not destroy your kids' pureness, magic, wonder. I remember doing kid shows, and I remember there was always one kid in every damn show that would come up to me and went like, my dad told me magic isn't real; they're all tricks. And I always was thinking of why your dad is so horrible.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Obviously we didn't tell him, but he had to wing it. Oh, maybe your dad doesn't know anything, doesn't know much about that, or maybe he don't want you to know, that magic is actually real or whatever. It's like, why? Why would people do that? I mean, it's like, I know why. I know what's the premise, but it is sad. It's ego talking. It's like, my kid's hero. I don't want anyone else to be my kid's hero. But it's
tough. It's like ruining Santa or something, just like leave kids have the magic. You only have a short time of it.
Have you watched the Essential Magic Convention, Luis D'Amato's thing? It was one of the first online conventions that happened. It was brilliant. It was beautiful. And I don't remember whom. I'm so sad that I don't. Maybe it was Mike Cavani. But I remember someone had this talk about the greatest magic trick of all time. And he was saying about this story about a guy who his kid basically learned through school that, Santa isn't real.
What?
And yeah. And
don't tell me that.
And he was like, I need to preserve this. It doesn't have to grow up from it's too early. And so what he did, and they went to Disneyland, and there was this parade of the cars and all that, and the final one, the final chariot was Santa's, and basically imagine that kid's mind. So basically what he did is, like, when the chariot of Santa was close, he took a step back and he pulled out a piece of paper that said, Timothy with an arrow towards his son. And as the child was going away, Santa trying to go like, "Merry Christmas, Timothy," and the kid goes like what? What? Because it is so awesome. Beautiful. Even for 1 more year or 2 more years, this kid believed in Santa, and like it is one of the greatest magic tricks of all time, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's
something happened to me like that. We were doing a thing for a children's hospital, and the guy who was to play Santa Claus, I was there performing, and I was organizing the whole thing. So we hired a double-decker bus, and I got circus performers and all this kind of stuff. And we went to the hospital. I told you this before, Dave. And the Santa Claus, the guy who was doing Santa Claus, let me down. So I had to be Santa Claus for like a little bit of it. So I just like ran off, put on the gear, ran back, jumped on the bus and whatever. When we were coming down, it was part of the hospital. But when we were leaving the hospital, the whole day was great. But when we were leaving the hospital, I saw a friend of mine just on the street. And I shouted down to him, Chris is a naughty boy. And he looked up and he was like, Santa. Like he was like, it's similar. He was like, what, how? Like there's no way. And even when all the nurses and the doctors were all having fun with me on the day, thinking I was just like Santa, and saying, some of the nurses were saying some off-color stuff. I won't lie. If you're lonely and you're single, dress as Santa in December. But it was funny. But the next day we came back to give them something like kind of treats for the kids and photographs. A press photographer was there, and they were like, "Oh, where's Santa?" And I was like, "I was Santa," and their whole attitude towards Santa changed. It was hilarious. But yeah, it's the power. It's another one of those powerful kind of a character, I guess, isn't it? Santa. This is one of those powerful things. But it is a shame when kids kind of don't believe it anymore. I mean, I know Michael, he's only 16 months now, but I will do everything I can to preserve that until even so much of like, Santa's in the boot. Look, he's tied up in the boot, and it's going to be Dave in a week.
I believed for a little too long, and my parents eventually had to tell me, because they'd done a video when I was.
That was last year, though, Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, enough was enough.
They done a video when I was younger of we'd set up a video camera. The thing was about this size because it was like the 90s, and we hit it with cushions and stuff. And then my dad dressed up as Santa, and they had a bit of like thread tied to the fire grate, and they were hiding behind the camera. So they were pausing and sat in the camera, and they pull the fire grate. The fire grate would just fall on its own in the video, like invisible thread magic. And then they paused the camera. My dad ran in. They restarted. So we watched it the next morning, and the fire grate just fell on its own. And there was like rattling of like snowbells, and then Santa just appeared in front of the fireplace, gave us our gifts, and then disappeared back up the chimney. And I was like, I remember I was in like 4th class. So I was probably like 10. And there's kids being like, "There's no such thing as Santa." Da, da, da. And I was like, "I have a video, and I'm bringing it in tomorrow."
Yeah,
And then my parents
I
like,
have scientific proof of that. Don't you dare.
"Yeah." My parents like, "Actually, we need to have a talk," because they're like, "We can't let him bring a video into school. It's like it's going too far." So yeah,
Get bullied for the next 5 years.
yeah, exactly.
I dressed as Santa this Christmas. It was really fun. You know, it's just hello, and you're doing all the thing, just cautions to look fat and shit.
Yeah,
but like I'm gonna try to preserve it as well as much as I can. You know,
Definitely.
and the same go to bring it to tie it all up. You know, the same goes with magic. You know, try to preserve the wonder. You know, a lot of the times, you know, we're so desperate to show off that we've been practicing for years and we have chops and skills that we forget that this is not what it's about. You know.
You will watch my second deal. You will watch it and you will enjoy it.
oh no! Let's do it face up now. I mean, no. I mean, sometimes you need to just let the deck down, appear that you didn't do anything, and then magic happened. And the audience, they're not stupid. They know that you are responsible for what happened, even though you didn't do anything, even though it seems that you didn't even touch the deck. They know that you're responsible, and that's enough. It's enough credit. You know, you don't have to show everything you've practiced for the past 20 years.
I think a big rule of thumb as well is to slow your magic down in general. It just shows confidence that you're just going to take your time with this.
Absolutely.
And the audience know that. You know what I mean? If you're really relaxed, then the magic will just happen. And it doesn't have to be this big process.
And I'd say slow, even if you think you're being slow, because you're probably not. Because probably adrenaline has kicked in. You think you're smooth and slow, and you're not.
So slowly, and there's your character.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
slow more.
For people who want to like pick up some of your stuff, you've got the new store. Where's the best place for them to go to find out more about that stuff and like maybe connect with you on social media? For people who want to pick up the Medusa project or any of the other projects that you've put out, what's the URL for the store? I'll be putting it in the description as well anyway.
Our company is Orion Magic Productions. There you go.
Nice.
Orion Magic Productions, like the constellation. .com. Now we wholesale a lot of our products over at Murphy's, so it is distributed worldwide, but we don't wholesale sell everything. Now, if you want refills for the Medusa and for the Medusa, basically you need to buy the original one directly from us because we don't wholesale refills. Also, we do a lot of extra things. You know, when you buy a product from Orion Magic Productions, we add in a small essay, and you know each product has a different essay. So if you buy 7 products, you get 7 different essays, and when you collect 10 of those, you get a free binder to put them on your bookcase. And this is going to go on and on and on. It's like a small gift, you know, as a source of inspiration and I don't know if you can see it. Inspiration and study, you know. And there are numerous essays from numerous great minds of magic in here.
Cool.
And
such a good idea.
Very nice, yeah.
Again, you know, all of our products have also booklets with illustrated instructions apart from the video. You know, a lot of the times, you know, you buy something, you leave it off the side, you pick it up 3 months later, and you go like, I have to relog to watch the video. Just pick up the booklet. Oh, that's how it works, and you can perform it. You know, it's like we are really trying to make the experience since someone is investing their money in our magic, we're gonna give back more than he bargained for. There's an effect, a beautiful effect we have by Eric Stevens. We basically you hole punch a card and use it as a bookmark, and this is just a book test basically. We include the hole punch with the package, stuff like that. We won't have you go out and buy anything. Whatever you need is in the box, no other product.
That's so good, because it's worse that disappointment when you go, my stuff here, I'm ready. Oh, time to go to Amazon.
Yeah,
2 days.
Yeah,
I've got to go make a load of shit with sticky tape and flaps.
So there you go. There's the X-Acto knife. Let's go. No.
Absolutely.
No, that's great, man. Best luck with the company, and we'll definitely be sharing out to everyone and telling people to check out your products.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It is going really well. All the reviews are 5-star ones. We have been trying really hard, to keep everyone happy, to be loyal, and to be steady with our vision on magic, because we are trying to produce. I am trying to produce. It's not, I have some people work for it, but it's my company. I'm not used to it. So I'm trying to produce practical magic. I'm not doing magic for Instagram. Some of them could work on social media, but that's not the point. My point is to take pieces of magic that you can actually perform out there in the wild, in residencies, on the streets, in your friends or whatever, actual practical magic. That is also strong. Mm-hmm. So
absolutely. That's very good. I just checked, it's like 120 for the Medusa project is like a bargain with like the powerful magic you get that you can do. So definitely,
it's a full set. It's a full set, and it's like and again, if you get the insurance, which is basically like $30, if you break something, we send you a new set for free, and you get free shipping because we got free shipping over at 150. So you just get one Medusa with this insurance, and you get it for free shipping. So it's like we're trying to make it as convenient to most of the people that we can. I have had people that send me oh, I got this and it's broken. Send them a new one. I don't care. If something is on me, I'm definitely gonna work it out. And I'm always open for emails through my socials, Instagram, Facebook, and to talk about anything around the company, around magic, around if I can help in any way anyone, it'll be my pleasure.
That's very good. Excellent. And thanks for coming on as well and helping us do a podcast and talk about the theory. It's made me rethink a lot of my close-up, because I do artsy stuff on stage, but I always just feel like I need to bring it more into my close-up stuff, so my brain's going mad there.
By all means, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure meeting you both, and again, if you need me, know where to find me.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Perseus, and for everyone, we'll be back again next week with another episode of the podcast. We've got a great guest lined up, so make sure you stay tuned, and again, subscribe, all that stuff that we're meant to say at the beginning, but I always forget. So thanks for doing it, and thanks, Perseus, and we talk to everyone again next week.
Thanks.